first things first, we are going to pin our pattern onto our fabric, and you want to make sure that everything goes the right way. So if you have the plaid going this way, you want to make sure that all of your pattern pieces are going to be going this way so that your shirt is cohesive. So I'm going to go ahead and pin this, and I will be right back. My original beginning clip got deleted, so I got the patterns offline, and they're no bigger than my hand, but it will depend on your boob size, so I'll leave a link to the patterns that I found down below. Like an old shirt or something, you want to make sure that you optimize your space, so pin the pattern pieces close together and make sure that you save as much fabric as possible because it can be used later for different things in your shirt. So this is what it looks like right now. So you're going to cut out 2 of each piece. So you're going to cut out these pattern pieces and then you're going to pin it somewhere else on your fabric and cut it out as well. I would suggest cutting it out in close proximity to where you just cut these pieces out so you don't waste fabric. And another tip that I have is to try and save all the trims. So like this, sorry, that's my dog. And you know, the edge trims here, because those can be used for other things in your clothing. And my cat is, watch out, kitty. Right, so as you can see here, I am just, oops, just cutting out my pieces. And it doesn't really have to be super perfect because you will be sewing the edges, and these scissors are not the best. Come on. And as you can see here, I'm just leaving a little space on the outside of my pattern just to account for the seams that we are going to sew. Alright, so there are our 2 pattern pieces right there. Alright, so there are our 4 pattern pieces. So this is going to be one boob and this is going to be the other boob, and what you can do is take the pieces and line them up if you want and cut around the outsides to make sure that they're the exact same size. But if you follow your seam allowance and things like that with your pattern, then you should be fine. So we're going to move on to the next step. There's my dog. Alright, so for your next step, what you want to do is you're going to want to take one of the smaller pieces and one of the bigger pieces, and you're going to want to line up the curved edge. So you're going to line up the curved edge so you have something that looks like this, the curved edge, and then you are going to pin and sew along that curved edge. And you want to make sure that you have the good sides together. So the good sides of your fabric together, the bad sides on the outside. With this fabric, both sides are pretty much the same, so I guess just decide which one is the good side and which one is the bad side, and make sure that the good sides are together. So this is what it looks like when you've pinned it, and then this is what it's going to look like once you open it. So you want to make sure that the big side is on the right of one and the small is on the left, and then when you open the other side, you want to make sure that the big piece is on the left and the small piece is on the right. So I hope that makes sense, but you don't want to have 2 of the same boobs. So as you can see, once you sew, you want to sew maybe about 1/2 inch or so, maybe even smaller, down that curved side, so that when you open it up, you will have a little boob coverage. So I'm going to go ahead and sew this. So once you have sewn across this edge, this is what it's going to look like, right across the edge there. And I'm going to open it up for you guys to see. Now you have one boob done. And then if we open up this one, we have the other boob done. And so all these raw edges on the inside you can trim off if you want, or you can press them open like this and iron them flat. Alright, so now what we're going to do is we're going to create the body of our bralette that we're going to attach our boob pieces to. So this is a good reason why you want to make sure that you can keep the edge of your garment because that leaves you the extra headache of having to finish your garment. But if you bought fabric, then all you have to do is turn it over like this and just stitch. But since we already have a finished edge here, I'm going to utilize that. So you're going to take a measuring tape and measure around your bodice, and whatever that measurement is, you want to add a couple inches to each side. And so this is what the closure I'm using is, and so I want to make sure that it's that wide. So and you can leave a little bit at the end if you want. You want to make sure that your bodice is at least this wide, or as wide as the zipper is as you're using. So as you can see, this is the one that I've made previously, and how I made it was with a fly zipper. But like I said before, I'm making this for someone else, and this zipper doesn't zip all the way down because it is from a fly. And so how I stopped that was I have to wiggle into it, and it falls down and everything like that. So I just built this little button piece in so that once the zipper is up, this piece will stop the zipper from falling down. So my measurements were 34 inches, so I'm going to start at this seam here, and I'm going to measure out 34 inches, and you can measure right across this seam if you want. I guess you could go this way if you wanted to, but I kind of want to keep it all the same, and I want to have this finished edge on the bottom. So I'm just going to cut out 34 inches across the bottom, and like I said before, you want it as wide as your closure. So whatever closure you're using, that's how wide you want to cut the fabric out. After you've cut out that piece, you'll have a skinny piece that looks like this. And there's my cat again. And since I've saved this finish edge right here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to sew it up into a circle on this side. So once again, you want to put your good sides together like so, and then you're just going to sew a line right here. And then what I'm going to do is where I feel like the back should be, I'm just going to cut it right down the middle, and I'm going to install my closure. And I'm also going to turn over the edges so that those are finished as well. So as you can see, I've turned over the edge, and I'm just going to sew down this edge just to close it off so it's nice and neat. And the good thing about plaid too is that since there are lines, it's really easy to find where you're going. You can just stick to this line right here if you want to, so that makes it a lot easier to sew. Alright, so now as you can see, I've sewed both the end together, just this one end, the other one was already closed. That's what it looks like on the inside, and you can cut away all that excess when you're done. So it kind of looks like a bandeau. And now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to snip right in the middle so I can put my closure. Now if you wanted to, you could just use that open piece and add your closure, but the seam would be in the middle of your shirt, if that makes any sense. So I'm going to cut down the middle, and I'm going to add my closure. Alright, so as you can see, I've cut the back off. So now we have this section here, which will be the side, this long section here, which will be the front, and then this small section here, which will be the other side. And so we're going to take our closure, and what you want to do if you're deciding to use this closure is you're going to cut this part off, because this is the clip part. And so you want to detach this, because you're going to put one on one side and one on the other side. So when pinning your closure, you want to once again think of good sides together. So we're going to take the good side of our fabric and pin it to our hook piece here. Our hooks are little, so you're going to pin the good sides together so that when you're done, this is how it's going to look. And then we're going to come over here and we're going to pin the good side of the fabric to the non-hook side of this end piece here, so that when we fold it over, they go together, just like a bra. See? So you have the little hooks there. And I think that looks really cute. And I left some space on the top and bottom. It is a stretchy material, so it should lay flat. So I'm going to go ahead and sew right along where my pins are. Alright, so now I have sewed on the hook and the eye. As you can see here, it looks really good. And there is that. So all I did was sew this together like this and then fold it over so you have a nice clean edge, and I did the same with this. So I sewed this together in the back here, so now you have a nice clean edge there. And then this is what the front looks like right now. I've actually decided that I do want to line this, so I'm going to make 2 more pieces exactly like this. So magically now we have 4 booby pieces, so we're going to take our like boob pieces, so these 2, and we're going to put good sides together. We're going to put the good sides together, and same with this one. We're going to put the good sides together, and then you're going to stitch around these 2 sides here, and we're going to leave the bottom open. Right, so here I've sewed all the edges around so you have like a little hat, and if you turn it inside out here, if we turn it inside out, you can see that we have a lined piece, and what I'm going to go ahead and do is press the inside seams so they're nice and flat. So now you're going to have your 2 boob pieces nice and lined and ready to be added to the body. So how we're going to do that is we're going to take the body once again. You want to establish which side is the top and which side is the bottom, and once you've done that, you're going to once again take your good sides and you're going to put them together like so. So that when you're finished sewing, you flip it up and you have a nice clean line like that. So I'm going to go ahead and pin it and then I will show you. Alright, so on this side, I'm going to show you that I pinned it along this edge. Our good sides are together. And you want it facing down so that it can flip up. So I'm going to show you over here, it flipped up. That's it, flipped up. And you want to make sure that the small triangle is on the inside and the big triangle is on the outside. So when you sew it together, you're going to have that. And as you can see, we have our bralette coming together. And all we have to do now is attach our straps. So what I'm doing right now is trying it on, and then I'm going to measure from here to the back part so I can figure out my straps, and I'll cut the straps accordingly. So my straps were 19 inches long, so what I'm going to do is lay out my fabric and cut it maybe about 1 inch thick. You're going to cut 2 straps, 19 inches long, 1 inch thick, and I will come back. Now that we have that, what we're going to do is we're going to fold it in half and we're going to stitch along. So hard to do this with one hand, but we're going to fold it in half and we're going to stitch along that edge that we folded. So right now I'm just sewing the width of the foot on the sewing machine. So once you've sewn that, it's going to look like this, and then you can cut off this raw edge. So what you're going to do is you're going to flip it inside out. There's many ways to do this, and you can look online, but what I'm going to do is use a safety pin, and you're going to hook the safety pin to one end, close it, and then run it through the middle, and then it'll pull out the other side. Alright, so what I did is hook the safety pin to one side, and I'm going to push the safety pin, and then you're just going to feed. I know you're hungry. You're just going to feed the safety pin all the way through. It's kind of hard to do this with one hand, but then when you get to the other side, you're going to pull it through and it'll all turn inside out. Alright, so the safety pin is in here and I am scrunching it and then pulling. And there it is at the other end. And we are just going to pull it, and as you can see, it is twisting it inside out. Simple way to make a strap. And yeah, pretty easy. So our last step is to sew our straps on. So I am going to start by sewing it right here, and then I'm going to connect it at the bottom right there, and we will be all done. So once you have your strap sewn on, you are complete. There is your homemade bralette. Show you the back. So there it is. And you can trim away all the extra gunk and you are left with your own bralette. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed.